A very good morning to all of you. And personally, I am very privileged to be here. Particularly, we started with the dance movements. So I have a bit of a frozen shoulder that got eased. So that was pretty good. And also, I would like to start off with a line I picked up from the previous discussion when Indu was saying that we don't judge by the harvest. We need to see the seeds that we sow. And thankfully, the distinguished panels members that we have, they have all focused on the seeds that are to be sown, and the entire topic of our discussion is about the roadmap towards CSR and sustainability. So I think it makes a lot of sense where we focus on the seeds, because that's where the roadmap happens, and then the harvest will come. Depending on the kind of seeds we sow, where we sow it, and how we sow it. So on that note, I would like to start with Archana. So we'll have it in 2 rounds where Archana and each of you will be talking about a bit of your own personal journey into CSR and sustainability. And also when you talk about your journey, I would also add a quick question to you, Archana. What drives CSR at Dell?
Thanks. First of all, good morning, everyone. It's an absolute delight and honor to be here, and great panelist and a moderator. What drives CSR? So I have been in this company for a little more than 5 years, but of course I have been in this sector for more than 2 decades. And what I really find unique in Dell Technologies is that CSR, giving back, ESG is literally in the DNA of the company. I feel this is one of the company where I have seen that we do so much, but we like to be very understated in terms of how much we speak out, in terms of our impact. We have more than 70% of our employees who get engaged in various giving back initiatives. We work with NGO partners with whom we have been engaged for more than a decade. So a lot of these things speak volumes about the company in terms of giving back. And globally, while we have our mission, vision, there is so much of flexibility that's given to the local country in terms of tweaking as what is their local flavor in terms of the giving back, what are the needs of the community. So this is one place that I have seen where giving back is so much, it's integrated to business, it's so much integrated to the day-to-day, the very existence of the company. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Archana. So as you mentioned about contextualizing the support based on the requirements. So you said there's a lot of flexibility in terms of what are the local requirements. That's pretty interesting because we ourselves are an early stage startup. So all of this is going to be very beneficial to us also. Coming to Kushagra, he is a senior consultant with Trini Sustainability. And while you talk about yourself and what you do there, I would also like to understand, when I looked at your website, it said about reimagining sustainability. So if you could throw light on that as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you, everyone, panelists, Dr. Raji and the team here. So for I have been in CSR for pretty much also like 10 years, coincidentally, since the CSR law was passed. I was doing my MBA then, and then I've been in the sector. I have also been fortunate enough to be a part of, site visits, going on ground, talking to people, doing impact assessment. The previous panel also talked about impact, right? And also want to build up on that, what especially Mr. Indu Shekhar had said, and also what Archana said, the ground roots, the people on ground, the seed. So when you go and talk to those people and you see the impact that has happened, you see the light in their lives, in their eyes, that happiness is unparalleled. And I have seen that, I have been a part of that. I have talked to school children, I have talked to people, villagers, headmasters, all kinds of people, right? So that happiness is very good. But then on the flip side, I also know of cases where, MDs and CEOs of big companies have had to leave because the people are not happy, right? You won't hear of that in any media story, in any case yet on any website, right? But being aware of that on-ground reality is extremely important, because then that will actually help you, build your CSR vision, your CSR mission, policies, and derive your roadmap as well. Right? So that's one aspect of CSR for me. And the other aspect, like what Dr. Raji was also saying on reimagining sustainability, I am a firm believer in the power of tech for impact measurement, you could say, or just using technology to do good. Be it using, right now, mostly people use Excels, right? But you could always transition to a SaaS platform or any other tech-based platform. You have Power BI, you have so many other platforms. you could be a multi-billion-dollar company with hundreds of crores of CSR budget with a huge team. But then tech will also still help you, operationalize, get more better operationally. You have huge amounts of data. How do you manage the data? How do you track the data? What is the impact happening? Otherwise, it's going to be a huge lag. You talk to your NGO people, they'll compile the data, they'll send you the data, then you'll make your report, then you'll present it, right? So that's a huge lag. You could also be a small company with just one person CSR team, and CSR is also not your main focus area. You are in an HR or a marketing or some other company, right? So then also tech helps you that again you get all of your data, you get people to you have a team on the other side to act as your CSR partner, right? So that tech-based consulting or tech-based approach towards CSR is something that I also am a firm believer of.
Yeah, that's very interesting. The tech aspect of how you touch the areas of CSR and sustainability, and definitely I would be following up a question on that as well, because that's again very, very relevant in the modern context. Picking again a line from Indu, you said that when you set out for good, you have to breach the targets. So the next two people whom I'll be talking to, in fact, have actually made humongous contributions and they have breached all the targets for good. I'll start with Anand, who is actually the Senior Vice President, Trustee and Co-founder of Sri Satya Sai Annapurna Trust, taking care of nutrition of 3 million children. That's amazing. 3 million children. So I would like to understand the journey which Anand made and what this entire aspect of sustainability means to you.
Thank you, Saji. Just want to start with a small kind of an incident. The person who's sitting to my left is my competitor about 10 years back, or even 5 years back. She was with Dell and I was with HP Software. And Dell and HP are always competitors in the laptops front. But over here, we are sitting together discussing on something else absolutely different. And that's what we are up to here. All the day we earn, and finally we are looking for the support which we can give for our family members. I have 2 children with me. And when I took up this job with HP, the only focus for me was to make a living out of it. I come from a very middle class family and with no support, tried to do what best I can do for my children. I used to take my children, especially during their birthdays, to some of these schools and do cake cutting, because I feel that by doing so at a very small age, their minds get very transformed and become kind. So in the process, when we were doing this program, one such school which was very near to our house, and we were just doing this chocolate distribution to the children. And the teacher over there told that, sir, if you are coming once in a while and doing, children may not be having that right nutrition. Is it possible to come every day? So this was a challenge, and I spoke to my better half. She is also here. And I told, why don't we prepare some upma, a very simple 30-minute preparation, and go daily serve the children. And that's how it started. And day one started, and after finishing up the program, then, we have our own corporate careers. So I was thinking maybe we should do once in a week, because I have to adjust my time and all. But somewhere when I was just going back in my car, one girl stopped me and she asked me, Anna, are you coming tomorrow also? That touched my heart. Somebody, if your daughter or a son comes and asks you, right, what is prepared for tomorrow, you are very immediately responsive to that. But what about these children? So that actually, motivated me. And the proof in the pudding, or rather the person who actually saw this work is Archana ji only. So she has been seeing us since last 7-8 years. So thank you, Archana, for being over here as my support also. So that's my story, and I'm sure we will cover it more in the next questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Anand. That was very interesting. The anecdote, that moment where you take that decision, where you, it's a defining moment, I think, and that was very interesting. And again, coming to the next panelist, again, who breached all target for good. Uh, again, a humongous numbers of students upskilled and given some opportunities in different corporates. I'll go into those specifics later, but I would like to know your journey a bit as well. Plus, your website says you want to create a world where no talent is unemployed or underemployed. And that was really, really very eye-catching and very insightful. So can you elaborate on that, please?
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here, and I feel like a student here amidst all of you guys because I don't really come from a CSR background. To me, CSR is the DNA. I think it's a mindset. I'm also a giver. I'm always a giver. So, and I'm fortunate to actually play all the three roles right now. I manage a cost center, profit center, and a social enterprise as well. And as far as this vision goes, I would give the credit to the founder CEO, Chokko Valliyappa, who started this with the vision of making sure that nobody who's underemployed or unemployed. And just on a lighter note, Anand mentioned about the competition on the left. You missed the competition on the right. I used to be with IBM earlier. Yeah, right. So, as I said, I had the privilege of being with a founding member of Future Skills Prime Initiative as well, which is one-of-a-kind initiative between NASSCOM and Ministry of Electronics and IT. So that's where my journey started. This was after I did a program from the India Leaders for Social Sector, because it was important for us to understand what are the nuances of that just before jumping in. And then I got this opportunity with NASSCOM, worked there for 2 years, and then joined this particular group. And this is definitely very fulfilling when we see what our vision we set, how far are we reaching on that. And again, as somebody said in the earlier panel as well, it's not about how we do it individually, can we collaborate together and do it. And our journey so far has been possible because there are so many government entities who have partnered with us, including the state of Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh now, Telangana, and a lot of corporates who have come in. Right? So there are almost like close to 4,000 corporates who have partnered with us who look at this pre-assessed pool to see can I tap into it. Because the major objective of starting this was to see how do we identify talent from the remote places as well. Because typically if you look at any of these corporates, they end up going to the same set of colleges and obviously for their own practical reasons, they can't reach out to the entire nation. So what we are doing is we are actually bringing the entire nation to them by giving them all these pre-assessed pool where these 100-minute assessment, which is a comprehensive one. And we also realized, which I think being part of the industry, we realize it's not only your domain skill which is important or the soft skill alone, it's a combination that matters. So the assessment that we have is also a combination of your aptitude, psychometric, and domain as well, which is AI proctored. So the numbers, we'll come to that later. But again, the credit goes to the entire ecosystem for making this happen. Again, we're still scratching the surface, looking at the potential of the nation. There is a lot more to be done. In fact, we are also exploring how do we take it to the other countries as well, including Africa. In US, we had an opportunity. There is a competition called X Prize. I don't know how many of you have heard about it. So we had an opportunity to participate there. And a moment of pride for all of us. HireMe was the only organization outside US, Canada to qualify, and we were also in the top 5 finalists as well. And this was again on rapid reskilling. How do you cut down a training that happens for 18 months? How can you cut down to about 3 months and still make it effective?
That's very interesting to hear. And then I think a lot of technology is also going to come. I mean, already it's, as you said, AI proctored and all of that. So continuing the question of technology, again, I'll come back to Kushagra. Because I could see that you are using SaaS as a platform to do the entire ESG assessments for various companies and helping them to convert them into opportunities. Can you be a little more detailed about it? Maybe so for even small companies like ours can take a leaf out of what you're doing and see whether we can implement it.
Sure, yeah. So sustainability in India, I mean in the US and the EU is probably the most advanced in terms of sustainability, right? You have CSRD, you have so many other regulations that are coming up, right? In the US as well, SEC is coming up with the regulations. But in India, my personal opinion, sustainability is still at a very nascent stage. Well, we are picking up, things are happening, but it's still at a very nascent stage. BRSR has just come up, that is sort of has a, like compared to the CSR law again, it has been a push for companies to, publish their sustainability reports, publish their the nine KPIs that BRSR asks for, And it's not just E, it's S as well as G, the alphabet soup of ESG that people usually say, you have ESG, you have TCFD, you have SASB, you have GRI, you have this, you have that, right? So BRSR, I feel regulations is definitely something that provides a pathway or a course of action for companies to follow. And tech, essentially, it will help you use, easily track. So the company that I work with, Trini, our SaaS platform, it will essentially help you generate your BRSR report with just one click of a button, right? Instead of you having to reach out to people in HR, people in, your field team, people asking them data, I need details on number of women in the board, I need number of people, people that we laid off, people that we hired. All of that data, you can easily track using a SaaS platform, right? And if you use AI, ML tools in that, you can actually, generate goals and targets for you as well. Because currently today, my emissions are, 100 metric tons CO2, right? But where should I be? Should I pursue a net zero goal? Should I not pursue a net zero goal? What should be my annual target? What should be my, SBTI? Should I have an SBTI approved target? Should I report to CDP? Should I develop a TCFD report? All of this, tech will help you, streamline all of this in a very, very efficient way. You have all of your data comes into a platform. Right now, your data rests in an Excel file. You have a huge Excel file where you compile data from 10 different sources and you make a file. If you have all of that in a tech platform, you just need to click a button and all of your reports are generated, right? Imagine the amount of time that you save in that. And using AI ML, like I mentioned, you can analyze your peers as well. What my peers are doing. We have a lot of competition right now, competition, right? What my peer company, what is an Infosys doing? What is a Wipro doing? What is an IBM doing? What is Microsoft doing? I believe Microsoft to be like the epitome of ITS company. They are already carbon neutral. They want to be carbon negative by 2050. All of their entire historical carbon emissions, they want to reduce completely negative by 2050. Right? So that's the sort of goals that I believe every company should aspire to. And again, I don't want to harp on too much about tech, but I believe tech is definitely something that can absolutely help you.
Thank you. Yeah, so what I'm gleaning out of the conversation so far is that when we actually build an entire roadmap towards how CSR and sustainability has to be more impactful and effective, right from at the individual level, you need that strong intent, as when Anand was speaking of his personal anecdote. And at the same time, the companies also need to be more responsible, purpose-driven, conscientious, and have a sense of responsibility. And at the same time, the human component is also very important, either at an individual level or when you are a part of a bigger company like Archana, you are a part of APJ Dell. And I read that you have a lot of focus on youth leadership for social change. And you do engage in a lot of employee engagement into the CSR aspect of it. So can you elaborate on that? And also I would like to know, out of all the experiences that you have had so far, what is the outcome of having an active community, employee engagement in your CSR initiatives?
Thanks. So basically how we do here is we have a layered level of intervention, because there is one single formula for success. So while we have grants, we have quite huge grants, which is very critical. We have our NGO partners, our strategic partners, through whom we work, and we give them those grants. And then we have the same thing like most of the companies. We have a way by which we monitor, we do impact assessment and everything that goes on. Second thing which is very important and which also many times cannot be measured is the employee engagement. So we layer it with our employee engagement, and not only it's just their time and expertise, which is very critical, we also attach dollar value to every time an employee gives back to the community. Like for every 10 hours that they contribute in a quarter, the company matches 150 USD, which they can give to any organization of their choice. So the whole idea is that we are also empowering employees that they can make an impact in the community. And we have many large teams like 500, some of them are as big as 5,000. So you can imagine that literally these teams, they work in such a manner that they have their own programs and they have like a little CSR department of their own, which we don't get much involved, and we leave them to the employee's discretion. This is also called as a volunteering gift, which basically means the employee is empowered to make a choice, and as per their discretion, they can give to any NGO, any cause of their choice. Lastly, what we do, which is equally important and what we are good at, is our technology and our products. So we layer it with our employee engagement with the products, with the company technology, which we give it on a pro bono basis. Now, what is very critical, we are talking about technology, we all know that the jobs that exist in 2030, 2040, they do not exist. We don't know of it now. There is so much of disruption that's happening. We all saw it during COVID time that whatever we were prepared, the world just threw us out. And the only thing that matters is finally the leadership, the soft skills, the agility. So therefore, we focus a lot around working with the schools, with the youth. And our focus is not only on providing technical skills, but we also work on a whole lot of their other soft skills, leadership, agility. We have this, I would like to take a minute and talk about our very interesting program, which we call it as a Sheepreneur. So the whole idea of Sheepreneur program is we have collaborated on this with Niti Aayog, and we are inculcating and fostering innovation, curiosity, technology amongst the young minds, where our focus is only on the girl students. This is almost a 9 to 10 months long program, which also includes internship at our own office, because we want to give them the corporate exposure. And we take them up to their prototype development, including patent filing, if wherever it's required. So the whole idea is we want to encourage and support in the entire journey of them to become an entrepreneur. So this is how at Dell we are focusing on. We are working at breadth and at depth. We have a very ambitious moonshot goal of impacting 1 billion lives by 2030. But what we also very seriously believe that every life in that 1 billion is equally important. So we have projects like Sheepreneur, where we are working with one student for 9 to 10 months. And we have programs where we are impacting in large scale as well. So this is how our focus has been. And to your second part of question, in terms of how we see it as different or how the results are bearing, I see the very huge difference, and what it's really the proof of the pudding. I have seen these students with whom we have worked through Niti Aayog and other programs, as I see on LinkedIn them as being founders, co-founders. So we have literally created job creators. They are no longer the job seekers, where they are providing employment. They have started up small startups with employing 10 to 15 people. So I really believe that this is the change that we are able to bring out among the youth. Thanks.
That's very interesting. So I could see that in terms of the employee engagement, you are more focused on giving them a sense of purpose and trying to be connected with they being active participants of something good. And on the other side of the spectrum, I can see that you are actually not only just being benefactors, helping a few beneficiaries, but empowering them to empower more of the people. That's a very good concept. That's very interesting. And as you also mentioned, during the COVID, it showed us, how things can be so disruptive and so unpredictable. And connecting with that, I would come to you, Venkat, because again, what I found interesting was they've already touched 600,000 students in terms of assessments. More than 200,000 students have found employment in different corporates. And what is again more significant in what Jaime was doing was that I think 57% of the students who found placements in different places are from tier 3 and tier 4 cities, and I think 45% are girls. So is it a very conscious effort on your part to focus more on those sections which don't get those opportunities of quality education, so to speak? So can you elaborate on that, please? Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, so Sachi, actually on the first part, that's a conscious thing that we really wanted to tap into the tier 3, tier 4, the remote areas within India, because as far as the tier 1, tier 2 is concerned, most of the colleges eventually end up going there, right? So that was a conscious thing. The gender part was not a conscious. I think it just happened, as somebody mentioned, right? If you have the right intent, things fall in place. So I think it's just supporting us. Just going back a little bit on what Kushagra was mentioning on the tech, right? That is something which is very critical. The reason we've been able to scale to that level is because we had tech. For example, if I had to just go to a corporate and say, you know what, we have this pre-assessed pool. First, obviously, there are a lot of questions about what is the credibility of the questions that you have, what kind of things you target on, how is this really done, how do you make sure that no malpractices and so on. Now, if we had to do the manual way or so, we wouldn't have been able to reach the scale. So we have an AI proctored thing. So even if you're taking from a mobile device or a web browser as well, That's continuously monitoring to see, are you doing any malpractices? If yes, you get rejected, right? So that's the first step. The second thing that we do is, again, going back a little bit on the genesis of that, the reason why they started this is, when you go to a lot of these campuses, we see a lot of students getting rejected. And based on the study that we did, we found that almost an average student, not the toppers, the average student gets about 14 rejections before they find a job. And these 14 rejections, it's not just for that moment, it's for their life, right? So most of them tend to carry the subconscious mind. So we want to bring in a practice where they're not really ranking them, saying that, you know what, this is a pass, this is a fail. We have these 7 sections, and we rate them on a scale of 1 to 9. And depending on the corporates, whatever job roles they are looking for, they could filter it, saying that if it's a sales, I would say communication is important. I want to look at somebody who's scored more than 5. If it's, say, mechanical engineering thing, I would look at the domain part, right? So we have provided this ability. The second thing which is important is it good if we just show them where you are, right? So what we also do is, because a lot of institutions are working with us, there are more than, I think, 5,000 plus institutions who have adopted this. They're making their students do it. We also share insights about it, right? So how is it? Are they lacking in the soft skills? Is their problem solving skills a little low? Where are the gaps, so that they can bridge that over the period of time? And just to give a little more perspective, while we are associated with the Karnataka government, last year the Tamil Nadu government, which launched an initiative called Nanmudalvan. So we are an assessment partner, and more than almost 85,000 students completed the assessments. Right? So this year, what we did is, as an improvement, when we had a conversation with the secretary as well, they were saying, okay, one is you let them know where they are, but how do we know which are the areas to improve? So this year, what we've done is, we have a pre-assessment before they, I think on the 5th semester, they have something, a training on employability skills. So they do a pre-test to see where the gaps are, so they're able to bridge that. At the end of the 5th semester or the early 6th semester, they take one more assessment just to see whether there is an improvement. And of course, the final year students are free to take the assessment. And on a day-to-day basis, we are trying to get more corporates come in, tap into this talent pool that we have. And that's one of the reasons why being able to get to where we are. Again, as I said, this is just the beginning.
I think, as you mentioned, the good intent is actually now beginning to show the results. Again, I think what Anand touches is another very important aspect of hundreds and millions of kids, the nutrition aspect of it. And what really scared me was the sheer scale. I think it didn't take a long time. So I would really like to know, because we have our small production center in Bannur, the products, and then I went and then I found out that 3 children needed help. And that itself became so mind-boggling. So how do you really touch the scale of impact? And what are your future plans, Anand?
Saji, firstly, before I answer this question, I also would like to convey my heartfelt gratitude to a couple of colleagues who are here, Mr. Ashish and Mr. Vivek. Ashish is from Oracle, Vivek is from Times of India, myself with the HP. If you see the kind of profile of people who are here, is more or less we have spent our time in corporate life, and with that experience, we started working with corporate companies to support our causes. I'll just give a math on how we actually try to reach this 30 lakh children. India as a population, we have 140 crore approximately as a population, and the most populous country. In that, if you see on an average, 25 crore children go to schools, first standard to 10th standard. I'm not speaking about Anganwadis or the PU and the university. In that 25 crore, there are approximately 16 crore children who go to government schools. Now, on an average, if you take 20-30% of these government schools are in the cities, and then there are some tier B cities also. You can easily say 50% of them are pure rural areas, which is approximately 8 crore children. Now, these 8 crore children, which I have personally seen it, there are only 2 meals they have. One is the midday meals which they get in the afternoon, and one is the meal which is prepared in the evening by the parents. So what is happening for the morning meal? The parents have to go for work in the morning as construction workers or some laborers. So they don't have time for actually preparing it. So what we understood is the night food which they had and the time they come back for the midday meals food, there's almost 16 hours of gap. Now imagine if you have a 16 hours of gap, what will happen to your intestines, your stomach, your body, everything. So you're creating a nation where the next generation is absolutely not fit for any sort of skilled work. Because we have been taken care by our parents, this generation is probably able to make India prosper. But what about the next generation? So this particular thing I've actually did as a small essay competition for a small group of children. And here is what interestingly happened. So one child actually did a math calculation. She finished off her 10th grade and then she did a math calculation. She said that when we were doing the breakfast program when she was in her 6th standard, okay, and she did a comparison with another girl who is from a different school. Actually, it is not even a government school, it's a private school. So she said that every day whatever breakfast we were giving, which is not more than 3 or 4 rupees, hardly 3 or 4 rupees, she started making that as an investment to her body. Because of that, on an average, in a year, her spend is not more than 1,000 rupees. Because 200 days we work in the schools, and then if I take 5 rupees, it's 1,000 rupees. 1,000 rupees into, let's say I'm doing for 5 years, so 5,000 rupees is the investment on that child. Now this child is just about finishing off her graduation, is about to get married, and she got actually married also, and she gave a birth to a very healthy baby. Why? Because she was able to get the right food from her puberty age. From the 6th standard onwards or 5th standard onwards, she was getting right food. Now I'm comparing this to another girl who was not having the proper breakfast while they are well-to-do. Not having the right food at the right time, no hygiene, no specific intervention required. Finally ends up getting a baby boy delivered, that too at 2 kgs, 1.5 kgs. See the difference. People who can actually get the right breakfast, they are not able to make the ends meet. Here is a child who did a mathematical calculation and says how the breakfast has helped. Now that was a turning point for us to look at how we can scale it up. So now breakfast can be anything. It doesn't need to be a upma, could be a poha, or it could be any dosa. Not like that. You can even take simple milk, simple biscuits, simple cookies, simple health shakes, something which is as easy and available for that particular child to be given in the school. Now this requires government's intervention, this requires intervention with corporate companies, this also requires intervention of the local communities. I heard somebody saying about Sarkara, Samaja and Sanstha, all the three are required for making it sustainable, and that's exactly what we did. So what we did is we ended up talking to corporate companies, we ended up talking to government organizations. In Karnataka itself, there's something called as Kshira Bhagya program. To make the value addition of Kshira Bhagya program as a breakfast program itself, what we did is we added something called as a micronutrient health supplement, which has all the vitamin B1, B2, B3, all the way to B12, which is actually going to help the child in improving the health parameters and thereby building the nation in a very strong way. We are doing a similar thing in Telangana. Telangana requires something like ragi, a very fortified ragi we are preparing and giving it to them. There also, there's a participation of government. 50% financial participation comes from them, 50% comes from us. Now the other 50% is what I am actually looking at. So what I do, I talk to Archana ji, I talk to even, we have Vidashaina Ganapati ji. All these people, I keep talking to them. Small interventions, 1 rupee, 2 rupee interventions, but the impact is very high. It might take 5 years' time, but for sure there is an impact created. And this is not something which I have made it down. This is an essay which was written by a girl, and then she gave it to as an article for our annual report. That's it. That's what I wanted to share. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So it was great to listen to all of you to get a very holistic approach of how we need to approach CSR and sustainability. But in the interest of time, we have to wrap up. And what we realized though is that there is plenty of work yet to do. And I think so we have to be constantly on this task. So thank you all of you. It was great listening to all of you. You would like to add something?
Saji, I just want to take a moment. While we've been talking, I think the moderator who is here, when I read about you, I was blown away. So I would like to just take you 2 minutes, if you could just talk about how you got that idea, how it's impacting. I think it would really help.
Can I do it 1 minute? So basically I'm an English teacher. I teach English at Christ University, but I'm also interested in grassroots innovation. Because when you go in and out of classroom for over 20 years, you realize when you see poverty all around you, how much of an impact are you really making? And that's when I focused on grassroots innovation. And then in 2017, I was walking the campus, I saw fallen coconut leaves. And it was like an epiphany moment. I thought, why not try making straws out of it? So thankfully it worked very well. And we developed the world's first drinking straws from an agri waste, which is fallen coconut leaves. And the long story short is that now 2 students from Christ have become co-founders with me. They are directors in the company. We have developed the technology to roll out these machines. We deploy these machines in rural areas. We employ women to make these straws, and we have been able to send out our straws to 10 countries, and we are giving it to 36 beverage chains in India. 86 women are working with us for the past 3 years. Thank you very much. And we make these pens as well from coconut leaves. Thank you very much. Thank you all for being a wonderful audience. Thank you.